Hi, everybody. Adam Savage in my cave, and today, well, yesterday some things happened, and today some things will happen. What happened yesterday is that I've been working on some dinosaur parts for an armature that I'm building, and I need to make pieces like this. And when you need to make pieces like this using machine tools, when you need to do a semicircle, you can't use a lathe because the lathe is meant for spinning round things, and that's only half round. The way you cut half rounds is frequently using a tool called a rotary table. And this is my rotary table. I got this rotary table a million years ago. I don't even remember where, but it is a Centec, which means that it is a Harbor Freight rotary table. Now, Harbor Freight are purveyors of tools of middling quality and incredibly inexpensive prices. It is a great place to go buy your first tools of different kinds when you're trying to figure out if they'll be useful to you. I've been buying from Harbor Freight for 40 years, 35 years. But I said middling quality, and it is really true. I started cutting some pieces like this on my rotary table, and I was getting errors that were like more than they should be. So I took this thing apart off camera, and I started to measure it. And what I found was that the base was really nice and flat. And the base and the top surface of the base were really nice and parallel. I put them on first of all, I trammed my mill to less than a micron across 16 inches. Then I put this on and I trammed the top surface with it clamped down, and it was really nice and precise. And then I put the table on, and it was not nice and precise. In fact, this table was off parallel by 15 thousandths, which might not sound like a lot. That's like 4 sheets of paper from one side to the other. Again, that might not sound like a lot, but I can tell you that is a difference that was giving me weird finishes and results because I'm working with stuff that's not straight. It's not parallel. I'm trying to machine it, and it's moving like this because I'm clamped down to a non-square surface. So I pulled out some measuring tools, and I very carefully proceeded through yesterday, bringing this into a high level of precision. And this is another thing about some of the Harbor Freight tools is that the cast iron stuff, you can actually bring it to an incredibly high level of precision. I would exhort you to go watch Stefan Gotzevinter's amazing video taking a Vertex 6-inch rotary table and bringing it into insane sub-micron accuracy. This is not sub-micron accuracy. I got this to within about 4 microns across. So give or take, 2 10,000ths. Yeah, 1/5 of a thousandth. A thousandth of an inch is about 1 rolling paper. So 1/4 of the thickness of rolling paper. That's how flat this is. That's plenty flat for me. So I have attachments for this rotary table, like a 3-jaw chuck with a number 2 Morse taper in here. I have some pins, alignment pins in here. But having to make more than a couple of these made me realize that I need to make a special plate for the top of this for clamping and operating complicated work. And that is called a cheese plate. That is one of the random terms for it. And it's called a cheese plate because it's going to have a lot of holes in it. This is an 8-inch piece of 6061 aluminum round that I picked up for a few $dozen. I am going to turn this to be very round with a very precise center. And I'm going to make it register to the top of this and clamp down. And then I'm going to make sure the top of this is super flat and parallel. And then I'm going to drill a whole bunch of holes in it. And the holes will be of different styles. Some will be normal through holes for dowel pins. Others will be threaded holes. And I think there's even going to be 2 different styles of threaded holes. Yes, all of those things are true. And then my rotary table, which is now super accurate, will also be super useful to me. Oh, right. Also, by the way, this specific rotary table, it has a, you see it's sitting on a flat base, but it's also got this right angle here. That's because it can stand up and it can allow you to cut gears and things. And when I measured that, reader, it was like 4th thou out of square. So I was able to remove that error as well. And now I guess this is my rotary table for the rest of my life because I made it nice and precise and this is my jam. So we are going to take this piece of aluminum and turn it into an attachment for my rotary table so that it can be even more useful. All right. Oh, right. So how does this begin? Well, there's this cool thing, right? The center of this is a number 2 Morse taper. So you can buy Morse tapers, number 2 Morse tapers, and you can buy them with a steel blank at the end. And this is literally specifically for machining down to use in ways that you might be useful to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck this into my lathe like that. I am going to drill it really precisely for the dowel pin that will be its alignment pin. And then I am going to cut it so that it is, here, I'll show you. So then I'm going to cut it so that the top level of this is below the top level of this. So I have a nice unbroken plate with a single little pin up here for alignment if I need it. And the ability to make different pins that will drop in there, yes. So, yeah, the first thing we do is we take this puppy to the lathe. Oh, actually, I tell a lie. The first thing to do is to take this puppy to the lathe because all the measurements will be based off of this critical measurement, that diameter. So yesterday, I measured the center hole of my rotary table, which spins highly concentrically. 1 micron of run out. So when this pin goes in, it has to be perfectly on center. And this chuck is called a true set chuck. I'm actually able to adjust its zero within some very fine increments in order to dial it in. So I'm going to dial this in until this needle does not move. That's the goal here. So let's see here. Neutral. And okay, so right now, it's pretty close, but it's within, it's 1/2 thou out. All right, so let's see, that is plus 1/2. That's 0. So, oh, wow, God, 3/10. 3/10 is really, really small increment, but I got less than 1/10 of movement on the other one. So we're going to try and make this as good as that. It's like, it's a precision is a stacking arrangement where every time you stack something on something precise, you've got to make sure it's also precise. So we're just loosening all 4 of these so that I can make the adjustments. All right. All right. I have dialed in. I'm very pleased with where it is. And we're about to do drill this hole. Drill this hole. This is a previous attempt, and this is the fit that I want. This is a 5/16 dowel pin that's been turned down. Yeah, that's what I want. So I want to go, how far? I need to go a certain distance. Oh. The dowel pin I'm going to use is a 5/16. The decimal equivalent of 5/16 is 0.3125. What I have here is a reamer that is 0.3124. And given the dowel pins are in fact 0.3124, that should make this a nice pop fit. It is almost too tight, which is kind of just where I want it. All right, so now we're going to put this back where it belongs. Then I'm going to put in a center here. And I'm going to hold this out. One of the nice things about a true set chuck is that once you set it true, it stays true for that diameter. So I can unchuck this, turn it around, and hold it between centers. Not between centers officially, but I can turn it around and I know I'll be concentric. But I need to make a mark.
I'm cutting this really slowly because I want precision. I don't want anything to get out of hand, and I only have one of these Morse 2 tapers, so I'm just gonna go carefully.
That is now my new alignment pin for the center of my rotary table. And it all has about the same amount of runout, which is an extremely small amount. And this will take my alignment pin. I'm going to ream this out just again, just a little bit more. Ooh, there we go. Yeah. Give me a sec. That is ideal. That's just what I wanted. I guess it was just what I needed. Okay, so now that the alignment pin is there, it's time for me to figure out how deep to drill a pocket in the back of this. But first, what we are going to do is we're going to take this puppy. We are going to face it. Then we're going to drill it. Then we're going to turn it around, face the other side parallel to the first side, and sink in a pocket that is a nice registration fit for this. The other thing this allows me to do is to stick a 5/16 dowel pin in my mill to align my rotary table with ease just by sticking it in there. Yep. So we got to turn these jaws around. That's the next part. Oh, yes. Just barely. All right, let's see here. Beautiful. We're going to flip that and make the second side parallel to the first. Oh, that's a pretty finish. I need to remove some material first because I always forget. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to drill a Now that's flat, but I want to make it even flatter. So I'm going to hit it over on the lapping table. right, so there we go. Now we're going to okay, cool. So that should be give or take 0. Now, if this was mission critical, I would be double checking that, but I don't feel like I need to, specifically because I am just drilling the holes, the 4 holes in this that give me the tie down. This is cool to me because I'm about to use one of the things that a rotary table is great for is cutting circular hole patterns. It's probably one of the things I'm not going to use my rotary table for, specifically because the mill itself has a circular hole drilling computer built in, and it's really good. So here's what we do. We bring everything to 0. Come on, 0. I want 0. I want only 0. Yep. Bring everything to 0. And then we say, function, enter. No. Sorry. Bolt, function, bolt, circle, enter. Bolt hole center is the 0 and the 0, enter. Bolt hole diameter, 6.98. 6.98, enter. Bolt holes number is 4, enter. The angle for starting is 0, enter. Go. So here we go. Whoop. Got it wrong. We start at, there we go. So I bring this to 0. That's for hole number 1. Oh, right. I have to clamp this whole puppy down. So while all that's there and stable, I'm going to clamp this guy. Okay, hole number 1. So then we go next to hole number 2. So I've drilled the 4 holes for my cap screws. And I'm going to want these cap screws to be a flush fit up on top. So I have still a flat top. And I could just do the math on the countersink and the size of this, but I don't have to, because when it comes to cap head screws like this and countersinking for them, this is such a common machining need that they make drill bits specifically for making the countersink for a cap head screw. And they are labeled with the screw that they fit. This is for a 3/8 inch cap head screw. So I'm going to chuck this in, get its depth right, and make it just deep enough for the head to be flush or just slightly below flush. And we're going to test that out. But this is the best part about the hole pattern is I just go back to the same hole pattern, right? Now I've got the depth set. So I get this down to the 0 point, and here it comes in. And I'm going to bring it down to the mark. Am I all tightened down here? Let's just make sure. This murder foil is pretty lightweight, so I'm not too worried about it, but let's see here. I like that. I like it. So now we're gonna go to hole 2. All right, we're now close to being able to mount this guy and to check how flat it is. So let us melt and make no noise, no tear floods, nor sigh tempests move, toward profanation of our joys, to tell the laity of our love. Dull sublunary lovers love whose soul is sense cannot admit absence, because it doth remove those things which elemented it. But we, by a love so much refined, endure not yet a breach, but an expansion, like gold to airy thinness beat. All right, so we're gonna pull this arrangement off. Oh, right. So we're going to clear. Nice. So when I first built the relationship between the plug in the center for alignment of the plate and the plate, I I am always in my machining given to working to a too close tolerance. And that's what I did. I had a little bit of rocking in there. So I was getting weird artifacts of how this plate sat on this plate. But I opened up the hole on the inside of this by 30 thou. I made it 30 thou deeper. Now it sits perfectly flat. I can feel the difference. When these lock down, there's not a lot of wiggle room. They tighten and they're done. And I am sweeping this within 7/10. It's less than 1,000th off. Plenty for me and the things that I will make. That is all the precision this boy needs. Okay, so now we want to make a hole pattern, don't we? Yes, we do. Rotary table cheese plate is finished for now. I'm really happy with it. I'm extremely happy that I was able to take this cheap, semi-poorly constructed rotary table and get it to less than 1,000th of run out or lack of parallelism. It is now a very useful chunk for my shop. But you might still have the question of how that can help me make more dinosaur parts. And here's the basic way is half of these holes are threaded, half of them are not. And what they do is they allow me to take a piece like this. Let's say this was square and not round, and I wanted to round it. I would mount the cheese plate so it was centered to the mill, which I have a whole system for doing. Then I clamp the part in that center, and I use these threaded holes to add these clamps. Now the making of the clamps, it's like a whole nother build I plan to do out of these little chunks of steel. I'm gonna make some little custom clamps for this. Not because you can't buy those custom clamps, but because I've always wanted to make some. And I will make some custom clamps. You'll be able to hold this, and then you can turn this, yeah, now you get it, around the milling bit on its center. And you can make parts like this all day long that are accurate because your machinist has drilled them in the center, unlike this machinist. Okay, I hope that's all really clear. I've been wanting one of these for so many years. I'm beside myself. Thank you guys for joining me for this one-day build. I will see you for the building of the clamps. I'll see you next time.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to tell you about some brand new merch we have. One of my favorite things we've ever produced are our demerit badges, which are scout badges for messing things up, as we all do. They're bestsellers, and we started out selling them as patches, then we moved to stickers, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we have demerit badge magnets for your fridge or your machines, and we started out with a 4-pack of our greatest hits. You can find these right now at tested-store.com.